Hello and welcome to Chanakya. We have with us a very special guest who's a long-standing member of AIBC, Mr. Viswanathan. We have a lot of information to receive from him on the foreign trade agreement between India and Australia, which is coming into effect on the December 29th. Welcome to Chanakya, sir.
Thank you so much, Mala, and very nice to meet with you again, and also to Chanakya viewers.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So, a lot of interesting events happening between India and Australia. I would like to first start with the Economic Cooperation and Trade Agreement, ECTA, that was signed earlier in this year.
Yeah.
And we spoke in detail about it. So, what is the significance of December 29th, sir, for our viewers?
Well, as you may be aware that the discussions which happened last more than 1 year between Australia and India at the highest level between
Mm-hmm.
the it started with the two prime ministers, Mr. Narendra Modi and also Scott Morrison. They had an agreement. They said that we will progress with the pursuing the trade agreement between Australia and India, and they originally they had a comprehensive strategic partnership agreement that was last year, and then
Okay.
and that was basically progressing to the current agreement which we are talking about, which is the economic cooperation trade agreement. And
Mm-hmm.
in fact, they uh, to call this as a full-fledged free trade agreement, it will be taking some more time. But for all practical purposes, we can say it is a free trade agreement.
So,
Uh,
what is a free trade agreement?
a
Can you
free
elaborate on a little bit more on that?
free trade agreement is, in a complete understanding, the free movement of all the goods and services from one country to another country without any embargoes or tariff restrictions and things like that. And every country has their own methodology of finalizing, because every country has their products. For example, if India is, let's say, strong in agriculture, we would like to protect the agricultural industry. So when we are exporting to another country, we want to first to see whether it is also meeting the domestic market, and
Mhm.
then we also support the exporters through the export market. But then certain restrictions will be there, like if there is a short supply of certain items, then you will have certain tariff restrictions, or if there are any sensitivities involved in a particular product or service, then there
Mhm.
are some embargoes will be there.
Okay.
But the economic trade agreement, what we are talking about now, is moving to that direction in terms of removing restrictions on many of the products and services, as a movement from both from Australia to India and India to Australia. So that is what.
The restrictions in the sense like import duties and other things, right?
Correct, correct. Mainly
Basically.
the bottlenecks are in the
Mm.
tariffs.
Tariffs.
And
Okay.
so far, to give an example, the wine industry in India. I mean, India is also a good wine producer. And if Australia were to sort of supply the wine at a reduced price, it will be basically killing the Indian wine industry.
Mm.
So, what they have sort of agreed upon is a tariff mechanism by
Mm.
which the current tariff, which is 150%, is reduced to 100% and progressively to 50% on
Okay.
certain varieties of wines.
Okay. Okay.
So what they decide is that between the two countries, they got experts in based in both the countries. They discuss what are the I would say important aspects which is good for economy of both the countries,
Mm-hmm.
and protect the economy of that particular country in terms of having this, I would say, framework
Mm.
of tariffs.
Okay.
So between Australia and India, what they have been discussing last 1 year or so, after the agreement has been signed, was to work on the details, because the government at the highest level have signed the agreement saying, okay, we'll cooperate. But what it means to the common man or a common business,
Correct.
that
Exactly.
is exactly what is happening now on the 29th. So,
Mm.
in the last couple of months or 1 year, what has happened is the experts between both the countries discussed at the highest level, and said, okay, these are the products and services. We will reduce the tariff from our side, and
Mm-hmm.
we also agree on the tariffs which you are proposing from your side.
Mm.
Say, for example, Australian uh,
Sir,
uh,
here is where I don't want to cut you in, honestly, but here is where I have a major question, sir. The reason is in the trade relationship between Australia and India,
yeah,
there is a significant deficit of export from India to Australia, mainly because the amount of coal that we import is more. So that's eating away a lot of, though the export percentage of, India tries to export, I think in 2021-22 it was close to $8.3 billion export, but still the amount of coal that we import is more. So kind of, I would
imbalance.
say, yeah, it's there is an imbalance. So now
Yeah,
when there is an imbalance, if there is a if there is a, tariff cut on both sides, will it be beneficial to India, sir? That's what I.
absolutely. Because you're looking only one category, which is
Mhm.
coal. But if you look at the broader,
No,
I
no,
would say,
coal I am telling as an example because coal is what is making India trade deficit with Australia. Because the coal import is more. We are importing in India, we are importing a lot of. Looks like we have a special guest for our interview also. Camera,
oh,
sir.
there's a fly.
Fly, yeah,
Sorry,
that's what I
yes, yes,
said.
sorry.
A
Sorry.
little guest.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Perfect, perfect.
No, that is okay. But what I'm trying to say is, see, again, coal is a political issue between the two countries.
Mhm.
The coal is now manufactured in Australia also by Adani. And
Mm,
Adani is an Indian company which is producing coal here and also exporting to other countries.
mm,
So, if you certainly look at the bigger side, bigger economic, I would say, impact. So far, the trade between Australia has been and up to now it's about in the order of 20 or 23 billion dollars.
mm.
But who's exporting more again is depending on the product or service, and then we can selectively look at that. But if you look
Correct.
at collectively, the intention of both the countries is to
In
increase.
products, Australia is more. In services sector, it's kind of balanced. That's what I saw in the
Yeah,
statistic.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But in certain things, India also has got products. But
Yeah.
the important thing, what is to be noticed, is the big intention, the big picture intention is to increase this trade to $50 billion in next couple of years, next to 4 or 5 years. That is the vision of the,
Mm,
in fact, uh, Mr. Piyush Goyal,
mhm,
as coming from the Prime Minister's vision as well as it has been agreed between the two governments. So if you look at that, what they have done is it's about nearly 200. I went through this tariffs. It's nearly about 200 pages, more than 200 pages of tariffs listed for various products and services, including fruits and vegetables and meat and services, manufacturing items, and all that. And it's about practically many of the items, I would say significant items. There's a zero, tariff. That means anybody who is exporting to India will not have to pay any tariff from the Australian side. And
mm.
similarly, the Indian side also is relaxed quite a number of products and services. In fact, the Indian list going to even more than I would say 500 pages. I mean, when I went through the list,
Yeah,
and
they say
so you
close
have
to 96% of imports.
yes,
They said,
yes,
yeah, export,
yes.
sorry. Yeah.
So and there's also a huge list of
Mm.
items which they want to export to Australia. For example, textiles,
Mm.
and there is a huge opportunity for textiles, whether it is cotton or the finished product. So right now, the textile market is being dominated by China, Bangladesh, Vietnam, and few other countries. India is, of course, exporting, but not to that extent. But
Okay.
this agreement, which is going to be operational on 29th, just to give an example, so it will boost the, significantly the export from of the textile, either in raw material like cotton or even finished product. Because some of the other thing which we may have to notice is countries like China, which also can import from India, and then give it as a finished product to Australia. So there is an advantage for India from it's a win-win situation. Either you give a raw material or the finished product. So this is one example where the textile industry is going to grow. And then the import duty
Okay.
on there is a zero import duty on garments from India. So
Mm.
there is a great opportunity for the Indian textile manufacturers. Whereas with this agreement, SICA agreement, the comprehensive agreement, what we are going to have is uh, the opportunity for exporting almonds to India.
Okay.
So that we can say that there is no, the tariff is practically, removed, and then like that's one example. And then there are other fruits and produce from Australia. Like we have strawberries, we have avocados, we have other fruits and produced from Australia to India.
Okay.
And similarly, the Indian side, we have the Indian pomegranates are now available. They have been cleared for marketing in Australia, but
Mm-hmm.
there are long list of other items, other Indian products which are pending. So
So this rate cut is, or the tariff cut is what is being addressed in the agreement as a zero duty access, correct?
yeah, it's a practically they have reduced more than 85% of the items, which is between Australia and India. They have reduced the tariff.
Mm.
There's a very big list. In fact, we have to see which item. Most of the items it is 0%, and some items are small percentage of tariff is there, and even India also. So if you look at the big picture, the trade is going to. There is a big opportunity for the traders, and the floodgates are going to be opened on the 29th. So that's why it's a right opportunity for the Indian exporters and the Australian exporters to look at the bilateral market and see where is the demand, and then who's the buyer and what price and things like that. The next is they'll have to decide the price and the quality and things like that. So what we are addressing from the Australia Inter Business Council and many other organizations in Australia is to discuss with the government, see where is the bottleneck, and we can nominate. And they're also nominating experts from Australia and similarly from India. They sit down together and then see what are the how how much leverage or how much concessions they can give. For example, Australian barley is very much in demand in India because barley is used in the wine production. But barley production is also controlled, is subject to certain use of certain fertilizers. And it is possible that the government of India may have some restrictions on certain pesticides. So when the experts discuss such issues, they come to an agreement. Okay, what is admissible? What to what extent this is admissible? So they take a decision, and then they say, okay, from this date, this is an agreement, and then we can now fast track the movement of Australian barley to India, something like that.
Okay, so as part of ECTA, other than this free trade agreement, right, there was also a lot of points around one key aspect that got my attention was this double taxation avoidance agreement. What
Yes.
is this, sir? Can you elaborate a little bit on
Okay.
that? Who is going to be mostly benefited by this? And
Indian companies,
okay,
because
and
what
please
happens is
explain
if you
what
take
it
the
is. So, okay.
IT company, you take IT industry,
Mm-hmm,
all the big players are here.
mm-hmm,
IT companies or insurance companies, many of them, or banking or any of them. But unfortunately, banking we don't have too many commercial operations, only limited. But if you see the IT, they are doing a lot of projects here. They earn a lot of money in terms of offering the services. That is getting taxed in Australia. And being an Indian company, they also get taxed in India.
so for the money that they earn in India, they are also they are also expected to pay taxes in Australia. Is that what you're telling, or is it for their services that they are providing in Australia? They are paying to
Yes.
Australian government, and also similarly, but at the same time,
They'll have
since
to
it's an
declare.
Indian company, they have to
Yeah,
also pay in India.
yeah,
That's what you mean.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
So I think this has become a sensitive issue. There is an organization called NASCOM,
Mm-hmm,
and NASCOM is a national software, chamber of commerce,
mm-hmm,
and they also have been taking it up with the Australian government, and uh, because there is a body of all the Indian IT companies, because it's mainly
okay,
the IT companies that have been affected. So
okay.
this discussion has been going on, and the between the finance ministries of the governments, and then now they have agreed to sort of remove any of these difficulties
Mm,
such as the double taxation, and that has been
okay,
agreed. Yeah. So that
perfect.
will progress further the services sector.
Mm,
One thing I want to say is, if you look at again the big picture, um, the areas of cooperation between Australia and India, as elaborated by during the Jaishankar's visit, he came recently about 2 months back. He said they've identified some three or four key areas as
mm.
the priority areas. Topmost is education. So Australia has got a lot of universities, a lot of people. Places where the international students can come and study.
Mm.
But what is important is what happens after the study. So the other countries like Canada or USA, there are a lot of opportunities for them to stay and get a job and things like that. Whereas Australia immigration policy has not been updated, I would say, for many years, and they have
Mm.
been very restrictive in in giving the visas for the students.
So there is
So
no post-study
what
work visa program at present.
no,
Okay.
with this agreement is now facilitating. In fact, already a lot of relaxation has come in terms
Mm-hmm.
of allowing the students, international students. Previously they were allowed to work only 20 hours, but now they can work as long as it doesn't affect their studies.
Mm-hmm.
And but then also they can um, extend their stay by going through proper visa processes, and then they can also, if they are skilled in certain categories, they can also, for example, IT or some specialized category, they can also apply for permanent residency. And
Mm.
as students, the opportunities are huge. And the other good thing which has happened is the mutual recognition of the qualifications, and so
Perfect.
which will also facilitate the movement of the professionals. There is one, education is one. The other one
Mm-hmm.
is the critical energy. Sorry, critical minerals. Australia has got a lot of critical minerals like lithium, manganese, and other type of critical minerals. For example, lithium is going to be used in electric vehicle battery charges. Australia is also very good in this technology, but India also is very good. So where there is an opportunity to collaborate with each other, there's an opportunity for professionals to cooperate And so these two or three sectors, plus the most important thing is the manufacturing and services. Now, manufacturing, the new technology is called the Industry 4.0,
Mm-hmm.
and India is very well aware of it. And then they've already got a lot of people trained on the Industry 4.0,
Okay.
and so India has got the capability. So Australian companies, the cost of manufacturing is very high. So for the local production, so there is a possibility, there is an opportunity for Australian companies to partner
Sir,
with India.
can you also elaborate a little bit more on the Industry 4.0? I have not heard that term. So, is it like a new standard for manufacturing or what it
It
is?
is a standard for manufacturing.
Okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
it's a
perfect.
manufacturing standard. But the Industry 4.0 is an agreed standard between all the countries to sort of improvise the current manufacturing techniques and
Perfect.
methodologies.
Perfect.
And so that's
So,
so India,
up.
when India is capable of that,
Mm-hmm,
here in Australia we have an advanced manufacturing center,
mm-hmm.
and then we have advanced manufacturing projects. So there is opportunity for Australia and India to collaborate on certain manufacturing products and services as well.
Okay. Okay. So, apart from these aspects, right? So, there was also some talks on the visa relaxation. So, as you rightly
Yeah,
mentioned,
yeah.
I want to know, have there been, has there been any quotas that has been introduced for Indians in certain sectors specifically, as part of this development?
Well, not exactly Indian, but I think they're also looking at if somebody is very, I would say,
Say,
technically
for
very
example,
outstanding or outstanding performer or outstanding people, permanent residency. See,
okay.
in the permanent residency, when people are applying, they have to go through all this, different stages of evaluation, and then if you are an IT professional, you will be, for example, in those days we used to get 120 points or something like that. As long as your educational qualifications or experience with that, if
Mm-hmm.
you are able to achieve those points, and then you will be given, I mean, subject to other medical and other
Yeah, it's
things, you will
similar
be
to
given.
Canada. Canada also
Yeah.
does the same way.
In
Yeah.
fact, permanent residency is much more, I would say, even better than H1B, because H1B, you're not,
You
you're
cannot
not, a,
continue to stay. It's only for a limited
yeah,
period of
it's
time,
a
and then you
limited
have
period of
to.
time.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
got limitations. Technically, you're not even a citizen of the country, whereas permanent residency allows you to apply for citizenship.
Mm-mm.
So that is again subject to the dual citizenship laws and other things. If somebody wants to become, a lot of people have become Australian citizens. I've elected not to become,
I have
and
a personal question. I was about to come to that. So, why did you not? Why did you choose to remain an Indian citizen?
um, I, I'll put it this way. I consider Australia is like any other workplace.
Mm.
I came here for a career. I doing some work and then contribute to the economy where I'm working. And so if you look at that way, Australia is like another place for me. And to surrender an Indian passport for that, I did not. My conscience did not agree with me. And also, I'm very passionate about India, and also I'm personally uh, a, a fan of Prime Minister Modi's Make in India vision. So with all these things, and I'm a lover of India. So there is no, I mean, I did not see any reason, because the other advantage is Australia allows this kind of status where you can still remain a citizen of other country and you can still contribute to Australian economy. So that's what
Mm-hmm.
we are doing. Other area
Okay.
is the defense. The defense is the huge opportunity between Australia and India, especially
Mm-hmm.
in view of the Quad agreement.
Mm.
Now, Australia and India has become very close in the last 2 years in defense, and very timely. India also has relaxed the foreign direct investment on many of the defense products, in terms of satellite technologies, in terms of the armories, many of the defense products, there is opportunity for Australian companies to collaborate with India.
Correct.
So it's possible. There is so many things we can do. There's a need for Indian companies to know about Australian environment in terms of what is acceptable product or service, and we are willing to help them in terms of education because there are certain Australian standards which they have to meet, and they'll have to go through certain quality compliances. As long as you meet
Sir, do you
this,
do you have a list of these kind of statutory things in your AABC website, sir, which will be useful for Indian businessmen?
we're going to be including certain things like that, but at the
Okay.
moment, what we'll do is we'll also prioritize what are the next couple of areas, and then we
Hmm.
have experts. We have people who are experts in these fields, and then they will be available to help
Okay.
people. And in the Australian, apart from Australian business, individually also people are available. There are many
Fine.
people who are experts. We are willing to. I mean, they can contact me, and I'll be able to direct them to any specialist product or service provider. You have an opportunity, a huge opportunity now, and the it's up to the Indian companies to immediately react to that because in business, you should be the first come first serve, and and there is a huge opportunity for them to cash on this. And similarly, we are
Perfect.
telling the Australian companies, so that it's not only one sided. I mean, this Australian relationship cannot be one sided. It has to be both the sides. So
Definitely.
from we have this more than 700,000 skilled migrants in Australia of Indian origin. With many of them are also with their spouses. I mean, many of them are working families, so they are able to contribute to the Australian economy. So they know the best sides of both the world.
Thank you so much for taking time and talking to Chanakya and giving us so much insights about what is happening between India and Australia and opening up so much of, you've opened up a lot of floodgates. This agreement has opened up a lot of floodgates, and
Yes, yes,
you have thrown us, all the key information that is required for anyone to, take it up and pursue their dreams.
yeah.
Again, thanks again, sir. And
Thank you so much for
we'll
your
continue.
time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.